Okay, so hello, praise be to Jesus. Yeah, disinformation is real. Disinformation is real. The Q movement, and what does that mean? Disinformation is real. It's, it's ingenious, really. The QAnon stuff. How that phrase people accept being lied to now, even in the Q movement. A movement that started off as a bunch of autists, but a bunch of the people, as far as communities in the world go, the people who sort of are the most independent, sort of rebellious, truth-seeking people, starting on like 4chan and Pol and moving to 8chan. The Q movement sort of started off with them, and there are a lot of people doing research into things, and it was a pretty cool community to be a part of in the beginning. And when I sort of got into it, sort of started going to the HM boards in February, I guess. I was aware of QAnon a little bit before then, and then so started getting more involved in about February, I guess. Sort of following it on YouTube and then actually on the boards and posting things. Disinformation is real. The idea that some of the things that Q says aren't real. He might give dates. Q might give dates and say things are going to happen, or say things are happening in a particular way, but that's just to draw out the enemy. That's just to, create doubt in the enemy and make them do things and, expend ammunition. They've got all these things that they can do to stop the movement, and by spreading false information, draws out the enemy so that they end up doing things on the wrong times. They prepare false flags and nothing happens, and so they're not distracting. Because they're trying to. The idea that the deep state, the cabal, they're trying to create disinformation and distractions from what's actually going on. And so when Q says, or something's going to happen, then they have to create a false flag to take the attention of the media away from some potential thing that Q might be putting out. But what's actually going on here? It's two things. Firstly, it's getting people to accept being lied to. Okay, so Q says that something's going to happen and it doesn't happen. Well, that's okay, because disinformation is real. We still trust Q, even though we've been consistently lied to. Even though Q has consistently said things that aren't true, and said things are going to happen when things aren't going to happen, and led us to believe things that later turn out to be not true. And even though really, on one hand, we can't trust Q we can trust Q because Q is fighting the good fight, and Donald Trump is fighting the good fight, and the people we're up against the bad people, and we know that they're bad people. But then on the other hand, we can't trust Q because disinformation is real, and we know that Q's even said, some of the information I put out isn't real. It's just it's tactics, and we're okay with that. We're okay with the tactics. It's fine. So you trust Q implicitly, but at the same time you don't trust. It's a weird situation. And then as far as false flags and things, it's like, well, what if the people in control of Q are also doing the false flags? I mean, that's quite possible, isn't it? Q's expecting something to happen on this particular date, and then something happens. Well, maybe it's because the CIA, or the cabal, maybe they're doing something, or maybe it's the Q people doing something. There's some media report comes out on a particular date, and it seems like Q predicted it. Well, did Q predict it, or was Q just in control of the media? Well, the same people who are in control of Q are in control of the media. It's a strange situation. I'm surprised that people don't think these things through enough. I suppose it's just a testament to how little people think in general. So, have you actually considered that angle? Have you considered that maybe you're being lied, like you've been lied to all your life? Maybe you're still being lied to by this QAnon person who is telling you that disinformation is real, and who do you trust? Q's telling you to trust POTUS, trust Trump, and trust the NSA, basically. Trust the military. It's like, do you trust them just because this online person who is putting out disinformation and is telling you that he's putting out disinformation and has proven to be putting out disinformation, are you going to trust them when they say to trust other people? Does that make sense to you? It doesn't make sense to me. The official story, and there are a lot of people who they spend a lot of time researching Q and only Q, and I did that for a short period of time, but it became clear to me quite early on when I went beyond Q, and especially when I started reading the Bible, that you're not getting the full story. It's a very controlled narrative with Q. There's a very Q can basically direct what the people on 8chan talk about, because Q can anonymously post information. If the Q people want to steer things in a particular direction, they can. And the posts they put up, if they want people to do research in a particular area, all they have to do is put up a few photographs and some cryptic messages, and then the Anons who love investigating and figuring things out, they like puzzles basically. They're going to look into these puzzles, and it's very controlled. And it surprises me that the people who supposedly are so involved in finding the truth, at the same time so deceived and sort of so myopic in their viewpoint. They've got I suppose that's what happens when you don't have God. You've got to trust somebody. You get your information from somewhere. At some point, you've got to put your foot down and say, all right, this is my trusted source of information. And if it's not God, then what is it? For a lot of people, it's science. But, for a lot of the people on 4chan and 8chan, they're already aware of a lot of the lies in the world. And so I guess when they've got a source of information that sort of agrees with them, it's sort of pushing the same narrative that they already have in their heads pretty much. But it's like it appears to be the case that they're being helped along by this anonymous personality called Qanon, who has links to Donald Trump, who, these people on 4chan and 8chan helped Trump get elected a lot of the time, like with their memes and Pepe and all that stuff. So it's sort of a continuation of that ideology. But it surprises me that not more people are questioning. It seems like there's very few people who are questioning. You've got the people who support Q and are all in on Q wholeheartedly, where we go one, we go all, patriots unite, that type of thing. And then there's people who, like the people who are anti-Q, don't understand Q for the most part. Like I haven't really seen anybody who says, Q is, like what I'm saying, Q isn't good. But not because it's false. Like people bring up Pizzagate, for example, and every time they bring up Pizzagate, they bring up that somebody went into a pizza shop with an assault rifle, and so therefore anybody who believes in Pizzagate is insane, and anybody who believes in the Q movement, which is associated with Pizzagate, they're also these insane people, and they've got these wild conspiracy theories and things. It's like, well, that's obvious disinformation. Like I would almost go so far as to say that that's put out to legitimize Q, because in those sort of anti-Q news articles and news videos and things, they describe a lot of what's going on, and they describe it. So like if you're a leftist, for example, and you look into Q and you look at the leftist sources about Q, you're still going to have a broad sense of what's going on. You're just going to think that it's all wrong and insane. You're going to think it's an insane conspiracy theory, but it's incorrectly characterized. But sort of the broad facts about what's going on are still known. It just seems very controlled. Like there should be more people. There should be more people, surely, who are saying it is a problem with Q. There just isn't. I don't know why that is. I don't know why it is that there are so few people out there that I've seen who are anti-Q, but sort of pro the conspiracy, but anti-Q. It's like, yes, a lot of the things in the Q movement are bad, but like not a lot of people are bringing up the angle that there's a totalitarian government being prepared. Like the New World Order, everybody's fighting the New World Order or denying that the New World Order is a thing. There's not a lot of people who are saying the New World Order is a thing, but you can't fight it. It's happening. You need Jesus. So I just wanted to mention that disinformation is real. All that means is that when Q says that disinformation is real, he's saying he's lying to you. He's giving you information that is not real, and that could be anything. Maybe it's the entire thing. And he's also said, say he. I don't know if it's a he. I mean, I'm assuming it is. He's also said that you're not getting all the information. You're getting 60% or 80% or whatever. You're not getting the full story. So, Q has stated you're not getting the full story, and a lot of things that he's saying are not true. So that should cause you to doubt, and that should cause you to do your own investigation, and not just your own investigation verifying the Q material, but your own investigation that's not related in any way to Q. It's outside of Q, because your attention can be directed if you're only sort of investigating Q to find out if those things are true. It's like confirmation bias might be the wrong way to say it, but there are a lot of bad things going on in the world. It's easy to direct your attention to those things and to miss the other bad things that are going on, and to get a skewed perspective of what's going on. Like if you look at the news coverage for the Mueller report and William Barr and what's going on there. If you look at the Fox News side and the CNN side, there's legitimate arguments on both sides from the perspective of both sides. So if you're looking into the Mueller report and what's happening with William Barr, and was there corruption, or is Barr complicit, and is he with Trump and all that stuff? Well, there's enough information on the CNN side of things to say yes, there's something going on. There's there was collusion. There's criminal activity there, and then of course on the other side, it's all a farce. But then there's other things going on. If you're only looking at that one issue, then what else is going on in the world? It's easy to have your attention directed to a particular thing. And I think that this is one of the things that Q has done very well, is sort of put a pseudo-Christian element in there and put some quotes from the Bible in there, and then Christians who look at it will say, oh yeah, this person, this Q person, this Q thing, it's a Christian thing because there's Ephesians there, and put on the full armor of God, and as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil because the Lord is with me. Some quotes from the Bible are in there, so that sort of gets people's guard down. And just remember, like there's a lot of things going on. Don't get your information only from one place. Do your own investigations. And remember, when somebody is telling you that they're lying to you, you can't trust them. When someone's got a proven track record of lying to you, you can't trust them. And echo chambers. It's easy to get caught in an echo chamber. And I've looked at it. I've tried not to get caught in an echo chamber just by looking at a bunch of different perspectives. Like I make a point of checking CNN every once in a while, and then like Paul Joseph Watson and Flecker's talks, and Sargon of Akkad, and who else? Like a bunch of Christian things. That certain people in Israel they're doing the news in Israel, and try to keep up with the Q stuff, and then I don't know, this and that. There's all these different topics that I try to keep up with, sort of spread out my consumption of media, because I feel like I've been looking at this stuff for so long at this point that I felt like I have a responsibility to keep looking, even though I recognize that I'm being sort of pulled to and fro by the things I've been saying. I get influenced by things, but I sort of feel like I'm becoming. It's my job, I guess. I've had the opportunity to I've had a lot of free time, and I've been able to do it, and I've been looking at the world for a long time. So I felt like it's kind of my responsibility. As I've said in previous videos, I just wanted to cram as much information in my head as possible so that then I could help other people. And that's, we're getting to the point now where, I don't know how much more benefit there is to do that. I'm still trying to stay loosely abreast of what's going on so that if there does come a point in time where people have questions, I can ask. Yeah, and just so I guess I'm making these videos to sort of get that out there, and then maybe I can just disconnect. I think we're supposed to watch, as Christians, we're supposed to watch what's going on in the world. But yeah, I've tried to keep abreast of a bunch of different groups. Let's say, sort of understand. So I understand how echo chambers work, and I've tried to stay out of them by, if I feel that I'm getting too much information from a particular point of view, I've tried to be like, all right, I've got the mainstream right wing perspective. We're looking at a lot of that stuff. Well, now I need to look at the perspective of the people that they are talking about, and you sort of you start to understand all the different groups and all the agendas of the different groups. And yeah, so I think that's useful to do, just to understand that. So how echo chambers work, and when you start relaxing on, there's the common truths in each echo chamber, I guess, and your guard goes down when you hear people talking about the things that you believe, the common truths within that group of people. And when you get into a group, you start sort of going along with that group, and so over time the number of common elements grows. Like with the Q movement now, like if you say where we go one, we go all, and people will trust you, sort of, just because you're coming at it from the same angle that they are. And I think persecuted groups, it happens more with persecuted groups, where you find somebody else is also being persecuted for the same thing that you are being persecuted for, and that strengthens your resolve sort of to be a part of that group, and you band together with other people. Patriots unite. Let's do all this together, and you get the social bond, because you're fighting. You feel like you're doing a good thing. You're fighting evil, and the stakes go up, and you've got compatriots, fellow warriors, truth warriors, and you're fighting the good fight. Then you're in an echo chamber after a while, and you start to ridicule call people shills would be the word in the Q movement. If you disagree, if you're casting doubt into the narrative, you're a shill. So you be careful of echo chambers, and that segues into I want to stop making videos, because I understand that the more videos I make, I'll lose perspective. I just wanted to get my brain sort of out into the world, sort of. I know that a lot of the things I've been saying, these aren't great videos. I'm not expressing myself that well. But yeah, it's at least to be a record of what I was thinking at a particular point in time. I've tried to sort of have a lengthy discussion, so that you get a sense of where I'm coming from. But creating doubt, it's a tactic. It's a tactic to create doubt. It's easy to create doubt in someone's mind, and it's especially important with regards to Jesus. There's so many ideas. That was one of the reasons I wanted to look at everything going into the Q stuff, because there's so many ideas that are slight variations, very powerful ideas that are slight variations on the truth, very slight variations on the Bible, that'll call into question like the legitimacy of the Bible, the legitimacy of the history presented in the Bible, the legitimacy of Jesus. Did he exist? Did he really exist? And how do you know? And was he resurrected, or was Jesus just a consciousness? And the ascended masters, and was Lucifer really the bad guy, or is this so many things, and it's just the creating seeds of doubt. You don't need to doubt. Jesus is real. Jesus is real, and God is real, and you don't have to worry. Jesus has said this is going to happen. There's a lot of deceivers, a lot of people trying to trick you. Yeah, it's okay. You know that people are trying to trick you, but you don't need to worry. My testament would be that there's so many lies, deliberate and otherwise, out there. And one of the most obvious proofs is, like, what are they lying about most commonly? Well, they're lying about the truth in the Bible and the legitimacy of the gospel and the historicity of Jesus and the resurrection. That's what they're about. And what's the most common lies? What are the most common lies about? What are they trying to take you away from? Most commonly, it's God. So, you don't trust lies. Lies are trying to take you away from God, most commonly. Like, the Cabal and everything I've been talking about. That's almost the best proof, I think. The fact that so many of the lies in the world, especially the religious lies, they're about Jesus. There aren't a lot of... that's just what it centers around. So, yeah, Jesus is real. Have faith. Stay strong. And not too long to go. It doesn't really matter how much longer there is. Relative to eternity, it's not very long. So stay strong. God bless. Take it easy. And yeah. I'll see you in the next life if I don't see you before then. Catch you later.